what are your memories of being involved in the Pillman's Got a Gun angle, which took place on November 4th, 1996 edition of Monday Night Raw?
Can't believe that it was that long ago, and it still feels, like it was, yesterday in some regards. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of sad in one respect because I think Brian was very concerned about his future, physically, his physical future. He had to have a second round of surgeries on a leg that was supposed to have been healed, even though it was in a horrific accident. I think Brian was very concerned about his own career, his own mortality, and that was sort of what really brought out the best, I think, in all of that. Here's a man who has nothing else to lose, who is backed into a corner, who is basically defenseless, and has somebody who is continuing to pursue him and attack him, this time in his own home. And Brian Pillman did what any man would do in a situation like that to defend himself and his family. He reached for a gun, and it was something that hadn't been seen on a wrestling show, and it came across as real to so many people. There was a lot of controversy about it. It was fun to be a part of. It was very energizing. I thought it came off about as good as you can do in a situation like that, and again, it was just very surreal, the whole thing. And when we got back, I was shocked that there was a lot of controversy about it, but then again, it was, I learned along the way that anything that Vince did seemed to get a rise out of people, especially when he began to push the envelope.
What's your fondest memory or road story of being with Brian?
Well, I didn't really travel with Brian, but again, when I saw him, every time I saw him, it was always, he'd always keep you on your toes mentally. He'd have something to say. Again, it was always, I wish I had seen him physically and gotten to know him before a lot of his time and energy was preoccupied with his recovery and his rehab from his injuries in that car accident. He's a phenomenal athlete, that's for sure, and was a very good guy, a lot like Raven in that same regard. You could always have a conversation with Brian about anything, and you'd learn something.
All right, Gary Wolf, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to agree with you with that, Kevin. This is Gary Wolf Pitbull. Brian
Gary.
was a great guy. How you doing, buddy? Nice, long time no here.
Yeah.
I traveled with Brian a little bit in ECW, and he was a trip, man. And he was so smart as far as angles and gimmicks, and it's a shame that he it didn't last as long as it should have.
I know, and that was the thing with his mind. It was always like, where is he going and where is he thinking? I saw him. He did a run-in after he came back from the leg injury, and I just sort of followed him back because he ran through the crowd. So I went along with him just to make sure that he got back to where he needed to get to. And he ducked into a dressing room or some vacant room, and he just sat down, and he didn't even pay attention that I was there. Only two of us were there, and his leg was killing him. And I think he was just so scared and so worried about everything. Like I said, a lot of his energy at that point was just put into the physical condition of his leg and how bad it really was. He didn't want anybody to know how badly he was hurt, and he was really brave for putting up with what he did,